Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to help you quickly grasp complex issues. Today we're digging into the India-Pakistan conflict, specifically where things stand now in May 2025. We're looking at analysis of the current situation, the recent military flare-up, but also the history behind it all. Our mission, to understand the key drivers and what these latest events really signify.
Yeah, and the recent tension really spiked after that awful terrorist attack in Pahalgam in late April. The deaths of those tourists, mostly Indian tourists, became the immediate, the trigger for India's response.
Right. Operation Sindoor. That was India's retaliation in early May. We saw missile strikes using advanced jets like the Rafale. They were targeting what India called terrorist infrastructure inside Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir. And the accusation, of course, was that Pakistan backed the attackers.
Mm-hmm. And Pakistan's reaction was swift. They condemned the strikes, called them an act of war. Understandable, really. This led straight to their own operation, Banyan-al-Marsus. They claimed they were targeting Indian cities, military sites, and we had those conflicting reports, didn't we, about downed aircraft, drones.
Yeah.
Hard to verify.
But then things took a slight turn. A ceasefire, albeit a fragile one, emerged just days later, largely brokered by the U.S., President Trump involved, and other international players. There was an agreement for military talks, Directors General of Military Operations, on May 12th.
Fragile is the key word, though. Almost immediately, accusations started flying from both sides about violations. Reports of explosions, military moves along the line of control. That's the de facto border in Kashmir. So you had both saying they're committed to the ceasefire, but also warning of, strong responses.
Exactly. And this latest flare-up, it doesn't happen in a vacuum, does it? To really get why this keeps happening, we need that historical perspective.
Absolutely critical. It all starts, fundamentally, with the 1947 partition India and Pakistan created, but Jammu and Kashmir's status left unresolved. That ambiguity has fueled conflict ever since. The first war in 47-48 divided Kashmir, set up the line of control, then major wars in 65-71, which led to Bangladesh, and the Kargil conflict in 99.
And more recently, a huge point of contention was India revoking Article 370 back in 2019. That removed Jammu and Kashmir's special autonomous status. Pakistan, predictably, strongly condemned it.
Right, and you have these competing legal and moral claims. India points to the Instrument of Accession, the legal document signed by the ruler back then. Pakistan emphasizes the Muslim-majority population and the principle of self-determination. And within Kashmir itself, views differ independence joining Pakistan. It's complex.
Okay, so let's break down the core issues driving this. Number one, clearly, is the Kashmir dispute itself. Then there's the ongoing issue of cross-border terrorism. India constantly accuses Pakistan of supporting militants,
which Pakistan denies, although historically there have been links acknowledged by some. And Pakistan has its own allegations about Indian interference, particularly in Balochistan. There's also this deeper level, the differing national identities. India's secular pluralism versus Pakistan as an Islamic republic.
Yeah, those narratives are deeply ingrained. Historical grievances, nationalism on both sides. It makes compromise incredibly difficult, almost like a betrayal of identity.
And don't forget resources. Water sharing, governed by the Indus Waters Treaty since 1960. India recently suspending its participation after the Pahalgam attack. That's a big deal, drew a strong reaction.
Plus, the simple, persistent lack of sustained dialogue. Diplomatic efforts break down, agreements like the Simla Agreement get sidelined temporarily in Pakistan's recent case.
And how each side frames it is telling. India talks legal claims, counterterrorism needs, integrating Kashmir post-Article 370. Pakistan focuses on self-determination, condemns what it calls Indian occupation, highlights human rights concerns.
Let's touch on the economics, too, because the contrast is pretty stark. Pakistan's economy is, quite precarious. Low growth, high inflation, reliant on the IMF. Conflict just makes things worse.
Definitely. It risks further destabilization. India's economy is relatively stronger, growing significantly, but even they face costs. Regional instability, military spending that affects everyone. Bilateral trade tanks, investment dries up, resources get diverted.
And how's the world reacting?
Widespread concern, basically. Yeah. UN, US, China, others calling for calm, for dialogue. The US mediation in this latest ceasefire is a key example.
But historically, international mediation hasn't really brought lasting peace, has it?
No, it hasn't. It tends to manage crises, maybe de-escalate temporarily, but the core issues remain. And the nuclear dimension, that obviously hangs over everything, raising the stakes for regional and, frankly, global security. China's role in the region adds another layer of complexity, too.
So, summing up, We have this incredibly fragile ceasefire sitting on top of decades of deep-rooted conflict, competing narratives, serious economic vulnerabilities, especially for Pakistan, and intense international concern, particularly given the nuclear capabilities.
Precisely. It's a very volatile mix.
Which leaves us, and you, with this thought. Given this history, this volatility, what are the realistic paths to a lasting peace? Thinking about the internal pressures in both countries, the external influences, what can the world actually do beyond just temporary fixes? Something to consider. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.